Welcome back, everybody. This is taking me a little bit of time. I cannot tell you the number of times I've had to repeat this. So, for the 4,695th time, here we go. There is voice recording. Otherwise, how can you hear my voice? Number 2. In the ebook, you're going to read from page E367 to E376. So there's that. Keep your book open. You might need it. Please press pause to read the text. And if I move too slowly, like that's ever going to happen, speed up the video to maybe 1.25. I can't ever imagine that happening. Okay, so there you go. Now what I'm going to do is move this puppy out of the way. And I'm going to see what's going on. This is the spreadsheet that got open. And we are now going to be doing Objective 7. It is called the audit worksheet formulas, and where Deborah cannot move her workbooks around. Okay, so it tells you what it is. It's in the book. All I can tell you is this is in retrospect, I cannot tell you how important I find this particular chapter of everything. And we did a lot of good stuff in 7B. This is pretty good for you guys out in the workplace, because often you'll get a worksheet that looks good and it appears good, and on all surfaces it looks good. The formulas look great, but when you scratch a bit, dig a bit deeper, it's not so. Anywho, so we got that out of the way. Mouse click and send to the back. Now this is what we're working on, and send to the back. Alrighty. So then display the revenue sheet. Check. In the workbook you can't see it, but it's E07B. Look up revenue report. Okay. And you see the error messages, you see the pound symbols, pound value, pound rev, pound value, pound div 0, you name it, we got a lot of green arrows. And now I can move this to the back. So, the next set of instructions, believe it or not, are number 5. Okay. In column B and H, according to the handout, the book, the columns are too narrow. You see that by the pound symbols. There is pound symbols in column B, but there are no pound symbols in column H. Okay, so what you can do is just bring your mouse up to the heading column B, bring your mouse over between B and C, so you're going to move it over to the right, so it changes from the black arrow to a double arrow and a solid line, and double click. Eventually you may have to do that with column H. So there you go. So once we've done those two, then we're going to go down and look in C9. The formula there is equals sum C6 to C8. And if we go to B9, the formula is equals B4 to B8, which is correct. And what they're saying is in cell B9, the reference is not quite correct. So they would like us to look at the green triangle. And I do have to say this. Oopsie, no, I don't have to say this. Stop it. I do have to say this. Is these little cards, as they're known, are very new to Microsoft since the last update. And so if you are reading the book, and it will tell you to do certain activities, this is the little arrow, the green arrow that they're talking about. My preference, this is much better. Okay, so it tells you got help for the error, which takes you into web-based help. And then you've got update formula to include cells, which means it's going to go into the formula bar, and whatever the two missing cell references are, it's going to add them. Okay? So we pointed at it, we noted the error, and it says, what do you want to do? Sometimes you want to leave it like that. Not often, but you do. Let's click and send it back. It's now in number 9. Sorry about that. It's a little bit confusing. So we're in C9. Okay. And we're going to go over to the Formula tab. In the Formula tab, we're going to go over to Formula Auditing, and you've got Trace Precedent from Trace Dependent. Through the process of this particular activity, we're going to cover pretty much all of the options in the Formula Auditing. So if we click on Trace Precedent, making sure your insertion point is where the formula is. The purpose of this is to see all the cells that feed into that formula. Imagine if you've got Lake Ontario, and I'd like a list, or I'd like to be able to look at a map of all the rivers that flow into Lake Ontario. I would like to be able to see them all, and they're covered by this blue arrow. And the furthest away is C6, and well, you get the idea. Okay, so it's got a trace arrow, and it displays from C6 to C8, and I can't do anything about the neighbor's doggies because they're being doggies. Okay, and it should include all of the revenue categories. No kidding, right? So we got to fix this one way or another. So what they're saying is, to the left of C8, there's that little triangle doohickey, one that I can never get. Now, it's going to be different from the book. Update formula. I think it's it. Let me just make sure. And let us send this back. So now we are in number 11. So anyways, it says there's an error. Can we not fix it? Yes, we can. We've talked about it. We discussed it. We've looked at it. We've pointed at it. All right, so we know there's a problem. We clicked on the little triangle. Update formula to include cells. Now, this happened to me before, guys. Now, what I ended up doing, it could be because of the boxes I was using. So we'd come back and do this again. And click arrow, update. There it is. So somehow the pictures and the formula got a bit mixed up. Now, what it did, it looked the formula on the left, which is B4 to B8, and it said that must be correct, so it corrected itself, C4 to C8. Perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, by clicking on that one arrow, clicking on the message, and then update, you've corrected your first error. Could you not have gone into the formula bar and fixed it yourself? Yipper, you could have done that. Okay, that's 11 and 12. Now we're going to go over to D9. And again, yet another green triangle. And we're going to point to it. And we've got the same thing in D9. Do not all adjacent cells in the column were included in the formula. This error also exists in the, I put my mouse in the middle of that. So D9, D, E, F. So you can select each cell and use error checking button. Or why can we not use C9 and copy it across? I don't care. So we've got D9 and the formula D6, D8. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to click on C9. I'm going to drag it across to D, E, and F. Check in on G, which is G6 to G8. Yep, so that one also needs correcting. And I'm going to click and drag and fill it over. Nope, I'm not going to do that. And there you go. Right. So now what we've done is we found where the one error is. We've detected that it's on column C, D, E, F, and G. And what we did was we corrected it in C, and then we and we just copied it over for convenience sake. Then we went to H5. This is where it gets interesting. Do not believe everything you see. So in H5, because we see one triangle here, and the formula is equals C8T8, and what we're going to do here is, they're checking, tip, screen tip, okay? And in the formula tab, you're going to select the auditing group, trace precedent, and compare our screen with the figure. Basically, in the book, there is a diagram that shows you what you're going to see in a moment. So, let's see what it is. H5 and formula tab, then over to formula auditing, trace precedent. Aha. So what it says is, well, let's see if we can make sense of it. B8 to G8. So the total comes from B8, C8, D8, E8, F8, and G8. You know what? Looks beautiful, but it's the wrong row. Okay, so yeah, Houston has a problem. And that means now, let's get this puppy to the back. What we did was we went to H5, formula tab, formula auditing, and trace precedent, and this is what we got. So all the values in row 8 are total, and apparently somehow or other that formula got into row H5. Yeah, definitely something's not quite right there. So again, to the left, we see that little triangle. Okay. And what it's saying is the formula above. You're going to have to do research for these things. And it says, copy formula from above, and if necessary, auto fit. Copy formula from above. Okay. You don't need to auto fit, but in H4, the formula is B4 to G4, B5 to G5, 6, 7. Oh, this one's going to come up and give us grief shortly. So remember I told you, not everything is as it appears. But row 4, H4, H5, H6 is. And H4, trace precedent. So this is what it's supposed to look like. All these cells are filtered into the total, which is in H4. So yeah, think about that as Lake Ontario, and each one of these rivers is filling the lake, and that's exactly what it should look like. Everything is neatly lined up. Perfect. And we're looking at the formula to verify the formula is correct. B4 to G4, it is indeed. If we copy it down, B5 to G5. And what they're saying is, if you look at H4 and H5, you know how obsessed I am about cell formatting and consistency. They're saying each one still selected. We're going to format the cell, but it's not going to appear exactly again. It's not going to look exactly like the book, but oh well. Okay. Now, also, just a reminder, when we're dealing with numbers in Excel, the first row or the top row is usually represented by accounting, as well as the bottom row or the calculation row is also reflected or represented by accounting. Everything else is comma, and by the looks of it, 0 decimal places all around. So that's something to keep in mind. And they're asking us to select H5. Then they're asking us to go to Home tab and Styles Group. In the Styles Group, go to Cell Styles, and go down to, I believe it's Currency 0. Remember that, Currency 0. Why would we want Currency 0 there? That doesn't make any sense. Comma. That's because your instructions didn't read the instructions. Comma 0. Okay. That's better. Now the problem is everything below it is just custom. H3 is custom. H4 is accounting. H5 is custom. 6 is counting, sorry, custom. So H5 is the one, the format that is correct, which is, even though it says accounting, we all know that it's not. Okay, well it is, but it's not. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so tracer error is gone. H4 is gone. Formula auditing is good. Trace precedent. Notice the trace error indicates the appropriate cells are included in the formula as shown in the picture you cannot see. Send this puppy to the back. In other words, there was an issue in row 5. When we applied the trace precedent, we realized that it was trying to refer or relate to, I believe it was row 8. Then, when we applied the trace precedent, what we determined was if we used the formula in H4, copied it down, perfect, and then we did a little bit of formatting so that it was 0, it should be accounting 0 decimal places. And that brings us up to now. In H5, notice the trace arrow, then select H6 one, then put it in, then maybe it's just up to H5. Okay, let's do the same for H6. And trace precedent. So far, so good. What about H7? I'm thinking we're pushing our luck. Okay. Nope, good. And the correct cells are included. Number 20. Send to the back. And basically, it's the same thing. Now we're going to go back over to H7. Trace precedent. Alrighty, I told you. What you see is not what you get. So, looks good. You don't get any flags immediately until you start digging a little bit deeper. Obviously, the formula in H7 is incorrect. It should be the same as in H4, 5, and 6. Why can we just not correct it? When auditing a worksheet, you cannot rely on the error notation and triangle indications above, as we discovered. So don't trust it at all. Okay, mouse click and send to the back. Now we're on 22. In the formula auditing group, we're saying get rid of the arrows. So no matter where we are, formula tab, and formula auditing group, and remove arrows. Good. Perfect. I like that one. Now we're going to go over to B14. This is where it starts to get interesting, guys. So only in row 14 we have salaries as a value in it. And the formula is equals B3 and multiplied by 0.05 plus 36,000. Now let's see what's going on. Well, you know there's going to be a lot going on. Let's see what's happening. And we've got B14. We've got the value. What is this? I'm referring to a cell, but that cell does not have a number in it. Where is the number I'm looking for? And if we look at the formula itself, and if we double click on it, you'd see exactly where the issue is. So, off to the trace precedent we go. Even though it doesn't see a problem with it, it says in this formula, part of it is based on B3 multiplied by the value 0.05 or 5% plus 36,000. Ladies and gentlemen, B3 is text. So what should it be referring to? And it should be referring to the total revenue. So it's the salaries multiplied by 5% plus 36K, and that's what their total revenue is going to be. So now we know what it should be. Let's go fix it. Okay, we've done that. Now we're going to go to trace dependence. Doesn't matter where we are. Let's see. So what is, now we know what's causing this problem. Where is this causing a problem? So let's flip it around and make sure I'm not activating anything. And dependent. So it says this is going to mess up this. So not only the problem is in this area, after you've got sorted out, it's also this cell in B14 is causing an issue in B17. So be aware it's these. And in B14, we deal with the blue. Once that's done, it says in B17 is a formula. And think about it as a house of cards. So if one card gets pulled out of the way, everything kind of collapses. So once the salaries formula is fixed, then we can come down and figure out what to do with it. It should, by itself, resolve the problem, because then instead of having a value there, you'll have a formula. So everything kind of falls into place once you end up making a correction. A little confusing, but there you go. Done that. B14. Know what the problem is. If I wasn't teaching this, I would say to you, go in and fix those cell records, which should be B9. But, okay, so we know all that. I've explained the formula to you, and we know where the issues are. How do we fix them? That's how we do it. Let me do that. Back to our error checking friend. And show calculation steps. Guys, I'll be honest with you, the calculation steps, they are a bit of a mystery to the best of us. They're going to take you through where the problems are, and they're going to give you a bit of, you can see sort of like breadcrumbs, if you will. That's a good way of explaining it. Edit the formula bar, yes. Okay. Now, error checking. And calculation. And if you want to, it says to say, where is the problem? I don't know, I hate this. 0.05, correct. That's in, evaluate, so there's a problem. The problem is, thank you for telling me this, I already know, pound value. Right? Thank you. Now, I'll close. No, we don't fix this. Just reading again. Miss B14 still in the active cell. Correct. Go up to the formula bar. Correct. And remove B3 and replace it with knowing that the dog is going to be B9. Okay. And the moment I press the enter key, then immediately B14 is corrected. Perfect. But again, remember you pressed it, everything that feeds into the formula on B17. So B14 is fixed. B15 is correct. B16 is not correct. Okay. Now again, I'm kind of stepping outside of the book a little bit. If you go and look at B14, the formula is B9 multiplied by B23. So if we go and look at that, B9 multiplied by B23, there is a value there. A similar type value and cell reference or text we're going to write in B24. We are going to do a little bit typing, and we're going to type in the number 2%. So we're getting there. I'm getting you a little bit ahead. We've got to fix B16. In the result of fixing B16 will in turn correct B17. Okay? Do not pass go, do not collect $200, and just keep going on. And mouse click and send it back. Activity 7.15, tracing error formula errors. Formula errors. Okay. Now we're back onto B16. I warned you we would come here. We noticed the error, and we know where the problem is. Now we've got to fix it. Okay. On the ribbon, formula tab, auditing, error checking out. Funny story, guys. I one time looked for something in here. It's called error checking error. There is no error checking error. There is the error checking command with the arrow. My gosh. Do we want to check the error, or do we want to trace the error? Which one do they want? I don't know. That's the next thing. Oh, trace error. Okay. And the back. This is so you guys didn't have to read the book with me. And on the video, error checking, trace error. This belongs to this, belongs to this, belongs to this. Press an arrow jump from B9 to B16. Gotcha. Arrow jump between B4 and B9. What's it now? Do it again. There we go. Any more? Nope, that's as good as it gets. Beautiful. And now you can trace or track where everything comes from. B9 gives you total for January revenue. B16 refers to B9 multiplied by something. We've done the error checking. Now what we're going to do is go into good. In A24, we're going to type in admin person. I'm doing this not exactly like the book, guys. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Press the tab key, type in the value 2. When you type in the number 2, automatically going to present percent entity. Alrighty, I'm really inventing words. Now we're going to go up to B16. Go put all the moving pieces of the puzzle. We know what B15 is going to do. Okay, so basically it's the same formula. Well, it's going to be B9 multiplied by B24. Because we want to be able to copy this over, we need to be able to absolute B24. B9, I don't know how other people do it. I get rid of it. I click on B24 and I absolute it. And I'm good to go. And everything looks perfect. And my numbers look tricky. 2,292 is your administrative expenses. Beautiful. And we've done B16 and drag it across. And we're going to do the same for B14. Alright. Let's move you out of the way and tidy up our worksheet. Into the back and click on G14. Copy it all the way over to G14. Select G16 and copy it all the way over to G16. Now, what about total expense? Can we do that yet? Everything's pretty good so far. P16 done, P4 done. Now they're asking us to select the A1. The reason they want us to be on A1 is exactly the same as if you're doing spell check and anything else that you have to have the beginning and an end. And the beginning in Excel is A1, and the end is wherever you run out of cells. So here's an error checking. I don't like this, but I'm going to do it anyways. We're in A1, formula auditing, error checking arrow, and error checking. We're going to go to all the issues, see if there's any problems, see if it's resolved, and this is the show calculation step, and the evaluation formula displays in the evaluation box 0, 0. And I think it's because of the div 0. If 0, 0 does not display in the evaluation box, move to step 7. Oh, we so hope so. We so hope it's gone. Alrighty. And formula audited. And error checking. And error checking. Show calculation step. Oh, lucky me. There isn't any 0, 0. You may have the same luck as me. And you can see where it's referring to, so something is still not quite there. And we're going to go to one. Don't need to evaluate. It doesn't work for me. Is there? If it does, the formula is going to be C19 minus C19 divided by C19. The first reference is C19. Sorry guys, sometimes these things work, sometimes they don't. In C17, we've got a formula. In B17, we've got a formula. I don't know when we're supposed to fix that. I wanted to fix it a while ago. I don't know. And let's go to B17 and copy it across. I know it's messy. We still have to come back and correct column 8. And we need to come back now in B. That's the problem. We know it. Edit in formula bar. is C19 minus B19 divided by C19. There is no C19. There is no B19. There is no anything. So we got to come up with a B19. Okay? And the B19, I'm going to close this puppy off and get rid of you. And press escape, please. So we need a formula for B19, which is going to be total revenue subtract total expenses. I'm not doing this right, guys, because I don't have the book open with me, but it's very close. Minus B17. And enter. If I was to copy this across from column B all the way across to column G, I can't remember if it's also I, H, but now you notice that at this moment, in C20, the value is negative $0. Okay. So C19 minus B19 divided by C19. Is there anything else we need to do? Yes. Yes, there is. Now we're going to copy this over eventually. Okay. This is not a perfect science. My advice is stick with what you know. Okay. And then if you need to, as a tool and a resource, use these techniques. Yes, we've done the evaluate, we've done that. H13 formula is B13 to C13. Yeah, that's good. I know I treated it. I'm going to copy that down to B14 and H17. C17 to H17. Again, I'm just following what the book tells me. Revenue income in B19 to C9 minus B17. Okay. That. Then we're going to copy from C19 to H19. This we have mostly. C19. All the way across to column H. And still, what about percent increase? In C20, we want to go and change it from present formula, present formats to percentage. So from custom, we're going to go down to percentage. There's minus 34%. I told you it was there. Right? And copy it across to G20. Each month, C20 forward across to G, which means, what about H20? Nothing. Nope. Nope. Nothing about H20 at all. We're going to leave that empty. Nothing else to do. A bit complicated, a bit convoluted, but it takes you through the steps. Some of these are going to work perfectly. Some of them stink. But you're going to go with what you know best. And it goes, like, if I leave you with nothing else, again, it's going to be a helpful tool somewhere along the line. That's great. That. And I am done like that.